But what's really in it? Lead, fluoride, arsenic, chlorine, pesticides, PFAS forever chemicals, pharmaceutical residues, and bacteria. Every single day, these toxins flow straight from your tap into your glass, into your family. It's time for Sentry H2O from Worldview Water. Sentry H2O is the ultimate water treatment technology, designed to remove harmful toxins, balance your water's pH, and enrich it with essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, the way nature intended. From commercial-scale systems to whole-house filtration to crisp, delicious drinking water right at your kitchen sink and shower, Sentry H2O delivers cleaner, healthier water everywhere you need it. No plumber, no tools, no plumbing knowledge required. Perfect for homes, apartments, rentals, RVs, refrigerators, and more. Because everyone deserves access to clean, healthy water. Visit worldviewwater.net. That's worldviewwater.net.
No signal, no service, no way to reach the people you love. When disaster strikes, hurricanes, wildfires, grid failures, civil unrest, the first thing to go is communication. Cell towers fail, networks crash, and suddenly, you're cut off. Not anymore. Worldview Talk brings you military-grade satellite phones that work anywhere on Earth. Mountaintops, deep wilderness, disaster zones, no cell tower required. When everyone else goes silent, you stay connected. And that's just the beginning. At worldviewtalk.com, you'll find everything you need to protect what matters most. Solar generators, silent, clean power when the grid goes down, bulletproof backpacks, everyday protection for your kids, your commute, your peace of mind. Faraday bags shield your devices from EMPs, hackers, and tracking. This isn't paranoia, it's preparation. And in today's world,
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff Operations Officer, assisted the National Security Team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the Vice Commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
Zoran Mamdani is taking heat from some immigrant groups. His office released a map highlighting the neighborhoods that make up New York City's melting pot, but some long-established communities were left off. Senior Fox News correspondent Eric Shawn takes a look at that.
New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is being accused of erasing some of his constituents off the map. Literally, Mamdani's office released a map called New York City Immigrant Enclaves, citing 30 spots, but did not include Italian, Jewish, Irish, or Greek neighborhoods.
He goes and he created that abomination of an ethnic map, and he excluded the Greeks that they worked for him and they've been friends with him for so many years. And he just excludes us. We don't exist.
There is a Little Palestine for an Arab American street, two Little Africas, Central and South American neighborhoods, and even a Little Boot Tibet. But Manhattan's historic Little Italy and other heavily Italian neighborhoods are absent. Lawyer Gerard Maroney, vice president of the Italian American Civil Rights League, says the oversight is offensive and wrong.
When we saw that, we were really shocked. We were really taken back. We were offended. We felt disrespected. Italian Americans built this city. He left out Little Italy. How do you leave out Little Italy? And not only that, he left out so many other important ethnic groups.
Mamdani claims leaving anyone out was unintentional.
Clearly not an exhaustive list of the more than 200 ethnic communities that call our city home, and we're going to be making additional changes in the future to reflect that, and that includes adding Little Italy to the map.
But Maroney says all New York City ethnic groups should be recognized.
Together we can make New York great again, but he can't forget about the ethnic groups, the Italian Americans, the Greeks, the Jews, all these different ethnic groups that built this city, that were so important to the city. He can't forget about us. And if he does forget about us, we're going to make ourselves known.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show. We're live on Worldview Tube and our X Spaces simulcast. Well, folks, you just saw it with your own eyes. The New York City mayor, Zohran Mamdani, the self-described democratic socialist, but really the Islamic Marxist communist who thinks the American flag is optional, released an official city map of immigrant enclaves for the World Cup and deliberately erased Little Italy, the Irish, Jews, everything that he hates. And that's the problem. The neighborhood that helped build New York, Little Italy, the streets where our Italian-American grandparents and great-grandparents arrived with nothing, worked themselves to the bone, opened shops, raised families, and became proud Americans. That's what they're saying there. It's gone. It's not on the map. Meanwhile, little Palestine, little Yemen, little Egypt, front and center. This is not a clerical error. He's a liar. This was a cultural erasure attempt, an attack on the very heritage that made this city and America great. And here's the good news. Italian Americans aren't taking it. The Italian American Civil Rights League is fighting back hard. You just heard from their vice president. And now the Irish are joining the fight. And that's right. The same two groups who built so much of this country side by side are teaming up again. Because when you mess with one of us, and I'm Scotch-Irish, you mess with all of us. So joining me right now is Mike Byrne, proud Irish American and the brand new official Irish American delegate to the Italian American Civil Rights League. Mike, welcome back to the show. Let's talk about this Islamic communist mayor's war on our heritage and how you guys are going to stop it.
Glad to be here, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So what did you think when you first saw this, Mike? This
Well,
map?
it's unfortunately it's to be expected from the likes of Comrade Mondami and his ilk that have infiltrated City Hall in New York. They have an agenda to replace those who made New York and America great. And they made that very clear with this map, leaving off the Italians and Little Italy and Arthur Avenue up in the Bronx. They left off the Irish enclaves of Hell's Kitchen and Woodlawn and some of the areas out on the shore. They left out the Polish, they left out the Germans, they left out the Jews, they left out all the different constituencies that came together in the melting pot of New York in the late 19th century, early 20th century to build that city, put it on the map, and make it great. And it was not an accident. Had he left off only one group, maybe that would be an accident, but he left them all off.
What do they all have in common?
Well, I guess what they all have in common is they're the groups that were targeted by Ted Kennedy in the 1965 Immigration Act and the others in 1965 that wanted to limit immigration for some bizarre reason from Northern and Western Europe and open up immigration to all other parts of the world, to communities and cultures that don't necessarily align with the West. And, that's an agenda that's been in place for a long time, since 1965, and it's something we have to fix or we're going to lose our country.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The other thing that strikes me is that they're all white Western civilization folks, is what their demographic is, and that is striking. That he took this scalpel and tried to cut them out of what they created. But that's typical of Islamists, isn't it?
It is very much so. Yeah. When I get together with my Italian friends, they often remark in a jovial way that, they'll say St. Patrick was Italian. And what they mean, of course, was that he was born during the time of the Roman Empire. And, so we all trace our heritage in this country, especially to Rome, Greece, to Rome, Athens, and Jerusalem. That's our heritage. It's not Mecca and Medina. But Comrade Mondami wants to replace Rome, Athens, and Jerusalem with a way of life that is wholly different from what built this country and made it great.
Yeah, Mike, you've been active in politics for a long, long time, much longer than I have. and worked all kinds of different jobs inside political campaigns and organizations and those kinds of things. But one of the other striking things about that video was what the Greek fellow said about, well, we worked for him, we're friends of his, and that is true. You know, a lot of these same folks voted for Mondami for mayor. What are you hearing from folks that did that inside these groups?
Well, there's a lot of people that have their heads buried in the sand over what's happening in this country, and you certainly see that in the Jewish American community. A lot of cultural Jews that don't understand that their necks will be on the chopping block first, and you see that with other groups too. They don't have, some members of different ethnic groups don't have the courage of their convictions. They don't want to be ostracized. They want to be seen as egalitarian or woke or whatever the case may be. And for whatever reason, they go down these roads, electing people that are going to bring about cultural and national suicide for us. And we have to resist them. We have to be the real resistance to save this country.
Yeah, what are the things that that we, because New York City is not the only place that has this. As a matter of fact, just this week, a story, or last weekend, a story broke where there is an actual municipal judge that wears the hijab that's just been appointed in a very small town in central Mississippi, of all places. So we now have our own hijab-wearing Yemeni American female judge at the municipal level. I mean, it's not a huge lot of power, but that's all it takes is one to get the ball rolling, and that's what happens, isn't it?
100%. Wearing the hijab is one thing, but is this the canary in the coal mine of Sharia law in small town Mississippi? We already have it in Dearborn, Michigan. We have it in Minnesota. We have it in parts of Paterson, New Jersey, and New York City and elsewhere. And they want to do it in Texas. There was an amendment to ban it in Texas on the last primary in March. So it's a big problem. It's antithetical to our way of life in this country. And I don't know how, I don't know where this is going, but I don't have a good feeling about it.
So let me ask you. You said that you have it in New Jersey?
Well, Paterson.
Sharia law?
Well, certain neighborhoods, right, in Paterson, Dearborn, Minnesota, New York. There's certainly there's the light enforcement of Sharia law. The police in, I believe it's Paterson. If it's not Paterson, it's Passaic, two cities adjacent to each other, are wearing Palestinian flags on their police uniforms. They call it Little Palestine. So, I mean, this is, listen, there's no group, I would say, with all due respect to my Italian brothers and sisters, I would say there's no group besides the Irish that have been more involved in law enforcement in this country. We never wore an Irish flag patch on our official uniforms or asked the entire New York City Police Department to wear an Irish flag on the patch. I mean, it makes no sense. It's insane. So, I mean, this is, I don't understand exactly who's allowing this and where we're going, but there's going to be a reckoning here, and we're going to have to stand up if we want to save this country for the next generation.
Yeah. There seems to be, what I've encountered, especially the last week, is there's a lot of confusion between what Sharia law means, what religion is, and then this relationship between the Islamists and the communists or socialists, whatever you want to call them. They're Marxists. And Mondami's like the poster child for all of that. He comes from a Sharia adherent family. We've seen him, even though he says he's not that religious. We see him doing religious things in the governor's mansion, in the office, out on, having people pray in mass in Times Square and blocking traffic, and those kinds of things, and being able to get away with it for what's supposed to be a very, very small segment of the population for the most part. But the relationship between Islam and the communist or the DSA, whatever you want to call them, that's what he is, and his policies are aiming in that direction. How do we educate folks on the different things that I just talked about, Sharia law, the Islamist and Marxist connection, and how it translates into policy? Because quite frankly, I don't think people believe me.
Well, that could be the case. We have to. It takes one followed by others to speak up about these concerns. There's a lot of people that are, maybe afraid of being bullied, afraid of being intimidated. They want a virtue signal. They're concerned about bringing up any kind of concern about another religion. But we can't be afraid. We simply can't be afraid. What this threat represents to this country, the way that certain aspects of Islam, buttressed by the communists, as you correctly point out, the way they speak about the takeover, their intent to take over and to remake the country by force if necessary. We have to be willing to talk about it, and more and more people have to be willing to talk about it, so that those who aren't paying as close attention understand, that this isn't an attack on anybody's peaceful practice of religion, but we have to be concerned about the forceful practice of religion and how it could affect us.
Yeah, if you're an adherent to Sharia law, you believe in stopping other people through various means. Anything ranging from attacks
yep.
to killing them if they don't convert, to make sure that Islamism is prominent, preeminent, and in charge of whatever land you're on. And that's not the way things are going to work in the United States of America. We got to take a break, Mike. When we come back, we'll see a little clip from Mike Crispy, the president of the Irish American Civil Rights League, about this issue and some of the things that the group is doing that we all need to help them with. We'll be right back with Mike Byrne.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed.
With this message here, we were here before Zoran. We will be here long after Zoran. Little Italy will not be erased. Why do you feel that it was important to send that message and send it so strongly?
Well, Little Italy won't be erased because we built the city. The people who have done the hard work in this country to build the country, coming to America, doing it the right way, not making excuses in the face of prejudice or discrimination, which Italian Americans experience. That is the message of America. It is about the American dream. It is about thriving for something better. It is about having the courage, which our ancestors did, to pursue a better life with nothing in their pocket, coming to America. That's the story of America. And if you erase that, you erase America. And all these great groups of people did it, including Italian Americans. We made New York the greatest city in the world. And nobody, not Zoran or nobody, are going to change that. That is why we can never erase and forget about places like Little Italy and the other enclaves who have made this city great, no matter what Zoran does or pushes.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the Italians that built New York City. It's actually incredible it was left out. Mike Crispy, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Truth Thursday on the Rob Maness Show. We're live on World YouTube and our X Spaces simulcast. My guest today is Mike Byrne, who is the Irish delegate to the Italian American Civil Rights League. That was Mike Crispy you just heard from there on Newsmax, the president of the IACRL. And Mike, the IACRL was on this very, very rapidly. I was impressed with their responses. Both initially and over the longer term. I mean, this happened in mid-July, I think it was, is the closest date I could figure out. What are the kinds of things that they are doing actively on the ground to combat this?
Well, you're right. The Italian American Civil Rights League under Mike Crispy's leadership was on it within hours. Had a press release out. Mike had a video out on Twitter, and very soon thereafter had announced a rally, which we held on July 31st in Little Italy with hundreds of members of the Italian American Civil Rights League. And we were grateful to be joined, frankly, by the gubernatorial candidate in New York, Bruce Blakeman, who came and spoke in support of preserving Little Italy and preserving the influence of all the great Western countries in America. I think in the future, what you'll see from the Italian American Civil Rights League is additional delegates will be named from other groups. And we're going to have additional rallies. We're going to obviously be focused on preserving the Columbus statue in Midtown Manhattan, which has been threatened by the woke left repeatedly over the years. We're going to preserve Columbus Day and the Columbus Day Parade in New York and other cities in the Northeast, especially. And I think there's a rally planned, an event planned at the end of October as well out in New York by the Italian American Civil Rights League. And as I say, I think you'll see delegates, you'll see Polish delegates, you'll see German delegates, Jewish delegates named as well, because we're all in this fight together. And we have to remember that a country that was sort of discovered by Columbus. You have the Irish were involved, as I know your family knows well, in the Revolutionary War. You had General Pulaski supporting the Continental Forces. You had General von Steuben supporting the Continental Forces, Lafayette, of course. So this is Western Europe came together to create this country, and this country has preserved Western Europe through 2 world wars. And we're all going to have to stay together if we want to preserve it for another 250 years.
Oh, absolutely right. Make sure you pass to Mr. Crispy that if he needs a Scotch-Irish delegate from the South, my family, as you know, has been fighting for this country since before the beginning. I'm a volunteer and happy to do it because we almost have to create a league of Western civilization representatives to protect America's Western civilization, don't we?
Yes, I think that's right. I think that's right.
What are the are you hearing anything in your neck of the woods in New Jersey from other ethnic groups that want to band together and create multi-state actors as part of this, or?
Well, I don't know that I've heard about it in New Jersey. I mean, I think Mike Crispy and the Italian American Civil Rights League, sort of based in New York as a national organization, they're right now, I would say, the galvanizing force. I mean, there is, I know that some of the, some folks from the different ethnicities we just talked about have already been in touch with them, and that, those appointments will be coming soon. I think we'll have to look at, as Western countries, as you're indicating, we have to look at our education system. This has been a perennial problem for a long time now, where kids are coming up, whether it's through the public schools, even through some private and parochial schools, without an appreciation for what the West has offered the world. And I think, I think the fact that children and others don't necessarily see how impactful the West has been, see how special the United States is, when they don't love the country and appreciate how different it is, how unique it is in world history, I think that provides an opportunity for others to come in and drive the message that maybe it should be replaced or it should be changed in ways that will ultimately lead to its destruction. So that's something we have to focus on. And you've seen that with Columbus Day, in certain towns and states where they've tried to eliminate teaching about Columbus, teaching about the founding of or the discovery of the continent. And we can't allow that. We can't allow that.
Do you think this is one of his methodologies to connect critical theory wokeism, which essentially teaches kids that people of color are the oppressed and the bad white people are the oppressor? Nothing can ever change that, and we need to erase the bad people from our history and from our communities. Is this one of those ways that Mondami's trying to do that?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Why wouldn't it be? He can say what he wants, and he can try to talk around it, but it's what he does. It's their actions that matter. Listen, when this guy was first sworn in, it was only a week or a month later that there was a new archbishop installed in St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. Mayors have always gone to the installation of the Archbishop of New York, the primary spokesman for the Catholic Church in the country, basically. He didn't show up. And then he didn't show up to the St. Patrick's Day parade.
No, he didn't.
A month later. No.
Oh.
I believe I'm right about that. No. So he's avoided all the traditional places that mayors go as they relate to the ethnicities that built his city. And he's done that deliberately.
Yeah, I think it's deliberate too. I'm trying to help people understand this connection between Islamism, Sharia law, and Marxism and communism. And I think Mondami's the right person to study because he's been in government. And I do believe he's trying to use all three, but I believe the Islamists are wearing communism as a skin suit, and eventually they will get to the point where they're trying to charge the jizya tax, which is the tax on other religions like Christians, and it's not just paying the tax either. You have to show and demonstrate public submission to Islam and pay the tax, and you get treated as like second, third class citizens. You don't have the same privileges law that a Muslim does. You can't do certain things. You have to stand up if a Muslim comes into the room where you're at. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and they try to take over churches and turn them into mosques. That's part of how Islamism conquers, and Marxism is closely associated with that because they want to, delete the past essentially in history in order to replace it. And I think the Islamist piece of this is treating the communists as their own useful idiots.
Well, I'm sorry to say they're doing that in my hometown in Montclair, New Jersey, the home of our illustrious governor, the home of Stephen Colbert and half the New York Times editorial board. And this is a town that was largely a Protestant town. I think there's traditionally about 50 different churches in town. 4 of them are Catholic churches. They're and I include in that synagogues, but largely lots of different Protestant denominations, Methodist, Anglican, Presbyterian, and so forth. And there's a little Protestant church a stone's throw from our high school on Park Street. And it was just announced that it's been sold and will become I don't know if you would say it's a mosque or a Muslim center of some sort. And they're going to be taking that over. I think you saw that right after 9/11. There was an effort to build a mosque down in downtown New York, which I think was defeated at that time. But no, it's these things are indisputable for those who are willing to look and speak up about them. And the tax, of course, that tax, it's you'll see that proposed sooner or later in certain locations. And the question is, will there be enough of us to stand up and fight back?
Yeah, I think the what's the tax called? It's a French term that he's trying to put on the the wealthy folks that own a home in New York City, but own
second
another
apartment.
one, second apartment. I forget what the French term is for it. I think that's the beginning. It's only the beginning of these attempts to tax people that he disagrees with.
Well, and he's talking about reparations too. So all these things are sort of attacks on the past, and they're a way to gaslight those of us in the present that we're not as good as a culture as we are or could be, or that we have to be replaced. We have to make changes for whatever may have happened. But we have to fight all of this because if we lose this country, we're going to lose the world.
Absolutely.
I don't know where your kids, grandkids, it's not gonna be pretty for the future.
Yeah,
And it's happening very fast too. It's very disturbing how fast this is happening.
It's happening very fast, Mike. I think I've got a hand in the audience. We'll get it in the next segment. It's happening very fast. I told you about the Muslim judge appointment that happened. It took people by surprise here in Mississippi, but I've been helping do some of the research on investigative journalism side of it, and I discovered that there are mosques all the way from the northern end of Mississippi down to where I live on the coast. They're west to east to west, north and south. They're spread out all over the state, but they say there's only 3,000 Muslims in the entire state, and there's even an Islamic center on Keesler Air Force Base. I discovered this morning. I didn't believe it when it popped up, so I went to the actual map, and there is an Islamist center on a U.S. military Air Force base. That surprised me very, very much because that's a political issue, in my opinion, because Islam is not a religion or a faith. It's a political ideology. And everything we're talking about here and how it works doesn't describe a religion. It describes a political ideology in a form of governance. You got to take another break.
And the key political a hostile political ideology.
Yeah, very hostile. I want to get into that in the next segment. We'll be right back with Mike Byrne. We're talking about the erasure of Italians and Irish and Jews and Greeks by Mondami in New York City. It's incredible. You got to stop it. We'll be right back.
At a certain age, you stop chasing younger. You start protecting what helps you feel steady, strong, and well. Your body's collagen matters. It supports the structure of your skin, joints, and connective tissue. But as the years go by, your body needs more support from the inside. That's where Bella Grace Elixir comes in. Bella Grace Elixir combines Verisol collagen, the world's most clinically proven collagen, with Astereal astaxanthin and cat's claw in a proprietary blend designed to help support the processes that reconstruct collagen, while also offering antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. And this isn't just for women. It's for men and women who want to age with more confidence, more care, and a daily wellness routine that supports the body from within. One simple elixir, thoughtfully formulated for whole body wellness. Take care of the body that has carried you this far. Order Bella Grace Elixir today at melissahousebg.com.
Mayor Mondami, I give you a year. You are not a New Yorker. You have no clue.
I'm Isabella Reggi, and today we are here in Little Italy asking the locals how they feel about one of the oldest immigrant communities, Little Italy, not being included on Mayor Mamdani's immigrant enclave map.
I don't consider you to be my mayor.
I think it's disgraceful for what he's doing. He's got to be fair to everybody, and he's not fair to everybody. He's not fair to the Jewish people, which he makes everybody notice he's not fair to the Jewish people. He's not fair to the Irish people. And now he hates the Italians. For what reason? What do we do to him that he should hate us? They always sort of pushed us to the side. I got it, yeah. In other words, Little Italy, they take care of their own problems. And we're always pushed aside. And I think it's about time that we have to be firm about this. Otherwise, we'll totally be forgotten.
If you understand what took place here over 100 years ago,
between 1880 and 1920 when the mass migration of Italian immigrants first came. This was the stepping stone for the Italians.
Well, the Bari family came here 120 years ago from Sicily. They were immigrants. They landed down in what's known as the Five Points. Grandma started the San Gennaro Festival. That right up there, that is Grandma. That is Grandma. Grandma from the Bari family. Okay, she is the heart and soul of this neighborhood.
My grandfather was on the Society of St. Gennaro, which happens to be this year 100 years. So it means a lot to me, Little Italy, you know?
There's no such thing as left or right down here. Both sides of the street are beautiful.
And what makes New York City such a special place is a collage of many different cultures. People from all over the world come here and settle. And they need to be recognized for the contributions that they brought to this wonderful country.
Welcome back to the Rob Maness Show on Worldview Tube, when we're live on our X Spaces simulcast, and we're telling the truth here on Truth Thursday. My guest is Mike Byrne, who is the Irish American delegate to the Italian American Civil Rights League, which is leading the charge in response to Mamdani trying to erase Little Italy, the Greeks, the Irish, you name it. If they're from Western civilization and built this great city of New York and this country, he has erased them off his map. Of course, then he denies it and everything. And that's because he's an Islamist, Marxist, and that's what they do. Mike, we got a question in the audience. I want to take that real quick. Let's go ahead over to Shell, who's hosting our X Space. Go ahead, Shell.
We have Moonlit, sir.
Hello, Colonel. It's a pleasure to meet you. I learned today that, where do we go? President Eisenhower on August 24th of 1954 signed the Communist Control Act, which declared the Communist Party. Do you know about this?
I do.
How do we get it implemented? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it.
Well, Mike, if you haven't heard of the Communist Control Act, it's still on the books, and it prevents communists from doing things like holding public office.
I'm embarrassed. I should know more about this, but I don't know about it. I need to look into that.
Yeah. Part of the problem, Moonlit, and thanks for the question. It's a good question, is that we are no longer enforcing the Communist Control Act, even though it's still a valid law on the books. And I would say that it also needs to be amended to include Sharia adherent people to prevent them from doing things like holding public office too, because Sharia adherence is not just faith. It's not a religious faith. It's Sharia law. And a Sharia adherent, for instance, the judge that I'm talking about here, regardless of whether she takes an oath to the Constitution of the United States or the state of Mississippi and says, I will be loyal to that law, her thinking is, having been raised in a Sharia adherent family all of her life, she wears the hijab. That is an outward symbol of compliance with Sharia law because they're obligated to follow it. And her line of thinking and reasoning is going to be tainted by that environment. And we can't allow that environment into the law of the United States of America. And the places where it has been allowed, like Texas, New Jersey, New York, Dearborn, Michigan, it is a disaster for civil rights and freedom, I think.
Well, two things. One, in terms of that, the act, the Communist Control Act, I wonder, does that apply to federal office holders or local and state as well?
I believe it's for federal office holders.
So we need to extend that. That should be extended in some way to apply to everybody. And then, in terms of this, you bring up the idea of taking an oath. Well, that's all fine and good, but there are certain strains of Islam or Sharia law where it's part of the teaching to be disloyal to any oath you take. It's an honor to make a commitment and not follow through on it if it means advancing the causes of a political or hostile takeover. So that's that needs to be examined too.
Yeah, it does. Another part of this is the concept of taqiyya, which is for any objective of Islam, you're also honored if you lie in order to achieve it, which is closely linked to that oath issue. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's just it's impossible to not have Sharia law intertwined in your thinking. I just read today that Al Said, Abdul Muhammad Al Said in Michigan, the Democrat nominee in Michigan, he's on video saying he's obligated to follow Sharia law. Obligated to follow Sharia law. And that's when he was running for governor of the state of Michigan. So why would we allow someone to hold public office in the United States of America that has that belief system and that legal system ingrained in them, and that they're going to follow it and not follow the legal system they're sworn to defend?
No, no, this country is built on the Magna Carta and St. Thomas's Summa Theologia and the law of the Old Testament. That's where our law comes from. The Old Testament, Summa Theologia, and the Magna Carta. It does not come from these other cultures. And that's not. We just have to be comfortable saying that and driving that message, because if we're not, the other side's going to win, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Are you guys, do you know if the IACRL is looking at state level legislation on these kinds of issues already? Have they taken that banner up?
Well, I think it's something that they'll probably expand to. I don't think we're looking at it quite yet. It's much more of a messaging movement so far to say that we're here, we're not going anywhere, we're not going to let you force us out. But no, I think we have to. I think it's all hands on deck in all aspects of society and culture. If we're going to save the country, we have to be involved in education. We have to be involved in legislation, and we have to be involved in government. And so it's going to take people like Mike and you and others to continue lobbying or being elected and driving the message and passing the laws that will preserve the country. I don't think our founders realized or would have thought that that there was going to be such a significant influence from so many different parts of the world that are not naturally aligned with Western Europe. And it's a problem now that is going to have to be addressed, particularly in light of the Constitution. And we're going to have to, the Constitution cannot become a suicide pact, as one of the justices said 100 years ago. We're going to have to, our way of life has got to be preserved, and the Constitution has to preserve it, not at the cost of the country.
Yeah, I think originally, at least for most of our first 250 years, at least 200 of them, we limited immigration pretty strongly from non-Western civilization countries, and even from Western civilization countries for a while. And we opened it up briefly for short periods of time to allow more people in, mostly from Western civilization countries, until recently. And I think the first three presidents all recognized that Mohammedanism, which is what they called it back then, Islam, was like a virus and dangerous to the American concept, the republic.
No, I think that's right. I've been reminded a lot lately of if you remember the movie Dances with Wolves, and Kevin Costner is speaking to the great actor Graham Greene, who we lost about a year ago. Graham Greene, Kicking Bird. He's constantly asking Kevin Costner throughout the movie, how many more are coming of the white soldiers, the Americans, whatever you want to say. And Kevin kind of avoids answering the question until he sort of gets increasingly comfortable with the tribe. And he finally tells Graham Greene, like the stars. And obviously, that's what happened. That's what happened here. And, I think we have to be concerned about that ourselves. I mean, the influx of Islamists into Western Europe and into this country could simply overwhelm us in numbers. You saw what, 50,000 in one day crossed from Morocco into Spain in one day.
Yeah.
And of course, many of them are apparently have been turned back. But Western countries can't accept billions of Islamists and still preserve their borders, language, and culture. And our borders, language, and culture are worth preserving.
And like the Spanish spent about 700 years pushing the Moors, the Islamists, back out of their country. And now Spanish leadership's letting them back in. That's why those 50,000 showed up, because of the message from the head of the Spanish government, isn't it?
That's true. What's going on in Spain is unbelievable. And the numbers that are reported in terms of foreigners are really underreported, because they're giving out citizenship so quickly that now there's so many Islamists that are now on the books considered Spanish, quote unquote Spanish, and the number of immigrants is being underreported for that reason, because it's only reporting those who have not been given the citizenship yet. So it's a terrible problem in Spain.
Yeah, and we've essentially seen in the Biden administration, like the Haitians at the southern border that had been living in Portuguese-speaking areas in South America were rallied up to come storm our southern border in the tens of thousands. Do you think that the current administration will be successful in their efforts to stop the non-government organizations from doing this kind of stuff?
The Trump administration?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone else who would try besides this administration, and we're going to have to hope for the best. But you see even in Ohio, the so-called Republican leadership of Ohio crying about the repatriation of the Haitians who were only supposed to be here under a temporary status, and now it's been 10, 15, 20 years. So, again, the first virtue, as Aristotle told us, the most important virtue is courage. And people have got to have courage to speak plainly, candidly, honestly about the problems we face. And if we don't have courage, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, one of the first media pieces on this judge issue down here from a corporate media, a mainstream media that I saw was they used the word bigotry is leading people to protest her appointment. It has nothing to do with bigotry, but that's the smear. Racism and bigotry. People are afraid of that, but be not afraid, folks. God is with us, and God's always been with the United States of America. His divine providence that led to this, and we will keep it by speaking up and having courage. Mike, we'll be right back for our last segment, and we've got a question from the audience we'll take then.
Take a look at the water you just poured. It looks clean, it tastes fine, but what's really in it? Lead, fluoride, arsenic, chlorine, pesticides, PFAS forever chemicals, pharmaceutical residues, and bacteria. Every single day, these toxins flow straight from your tap into your glass, into your family. It's time for Sentry H2O from Worldview Water. Sentry H2O is the ultimate water treatment technology, designed to remove harmful toxins, balance your water's pH, and enrich it with essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, the way nature intended. From commercial-scale systems to whole house filtration to crisp, delicious drinking water right at your kitchen sink and shower, Sentry H2O delivers cleaner, healthier water everywhere you need it. No plumber, no tools, no plumbing knowledge required. Perfect for homes, apartments, rentals, RVs, refrigerators, and more. Because everyone deserves access to clean, healthy water. Visit worldviewwater.net. That's worldviewwater.net.
Hey everybody, Mike Byrne here at Trump National in Bedminster, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank Mike Crispy and the Italian American Civil Rights League for doing me the great honor of naming me the Irish American delegate to the Italian American Civil Rights League. You know, the Irish Americans and the Italian Americans have so much in common and have contributed so much to American culture, whether music or parades architecture, food. But the one thing that I think distinguishes the Irish and the Italians more so than anything else and what they've contributed to America is the fact that they always put America first. They cherish their traditions. We cherish our traditions that we brought from the homeland, whether it was Ireland or Italy, but we put America first. We love America, and we want to preserve America for the next generation. So I'm looking forward to working with Mike Crispy, the Italian American Civil Rights League, as a partner on behalf of the Irish American community, and I'm looking forward to making America great again.
Welcome back to True Thursday on the Rob Maness Show. And my guest today is that man, Mike Byrne, today discussing this issue because it's critically important. And the reason why I wanted to play that clip, Mike, was because you brought in what all of us that work together and know each other around this country, but not only believe in, but know in our hearts, is that Americans, whether they're immigrants or born here, put America first. If you believe in America, you put America first, and you fight to protect it and defend it so that it's there for our children and grandchildren. So I appreciate you bringing that in. Let's get a question from the audience. We got one left over there before we get to the end here. Go ahead, Shel.
We have IC, sir.
Hi, Shel. Thank you, Colonel. Okay, so I'll try to be as quick as possible. So how do we go about, and do you have any ideas on how to declare Islam a political ideology that simply exists to conquer the world? Because you know they're using our First Amendment against us. So how do we go about that? Because I think that might set our way of dealing with this and putting an end to this serious threat. This is a critical conversation, and I am so grateful for you holding this space. This is so important. So thank you so much for the mic.
Thank you for the question. I think that's the core issue, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, I think it is. There's a saying that when the people lead, the leaders will follow. So it's before I think government is likely to make any sort of pronouncement, as the caller suggests. Groups have to do it, whether it's community groups like the Italian American Civil Rights League or Patriot groups or the groups like the America First Republicans that I co-chair in New Jersey, maybe even at the formal parties. The Republican Party at the next national convention should pass a plank of the platform. But groups have to speak up first, and then I think you'll see we're going to have to see the government follow suit.
Yeah. Do you think do you think that it's possible to get the still loyal Americans that exist, and I in my heart I know some still exist in the Democrat Party, to come on board and step up, so we have voices from across the spectrum in our citizenry to say, no, this is wrong. We have to put a stop to it. Is that possible today even?
Maybe for a handful of folks. I mean, you always have a handful of patriots that realize that the party's going too far. I remember Zell Miller's great speech at the 2004 convention, speaking out against John Kerry and Ted Kennedy. So, you could probably find a couple pockets of people, but I think at the moment, the derangement, as we say, that people have for the leader of the country right now is and frankly, the way the Democrats seem to always put the Democrat Party first in large measure. I don't think you're going to get a lot of that, but I think you can always get some, and we have to.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get enough on the Republican side? I mean, I've been shocked at some of the voices that I've heard over this last week since this broke in Mississippi that minimize the issue, say it's not a big deal, throw in the First Amendment. We can't outlaw someone's faith, misconstruing the Sharia law aspect of this and the violent Sharia law implementation of this. I've just been absolutely shocked at the lack of lackadaisical approach to this by some, not all, but some. The base understands it.
Well, that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's frankly the more important issue, and that's the issue in a lot of in a lot of aspects of the law is that you have to hold Republicans accountable first. We got enough problems. It's as you indicate with weaklings and rhinos and patsies in the Republican Party that if we don't hold them accountable first and keep them on board, it's not even worth going after the Democrats in some cases. You got that party is largely lost at the moment. Doesn't mean there can't be some sort of reversal in the future, but yeah, no, we have to hold. You have to go to Republican conventions and get involved in your county committees and your town committees and hold those groups accountable, so that at least one of the two main political parties is fighting on our side on this issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it's probably for a national audience to hear that it's a problem in Mississippi. That's, it's kind of wild for me to think about. But I know it's a problem here in New Jersey in significant aspects of the party, where they don't want to stand up for the cultural values and mores that made this country great, and you have to hold them accountable.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed with this judge, and what made the story break, is that Amy Meck from Texas, who runs the Rare Foundation, their team saw the media coverage in the Islamic media, even Sky News Arabia, which is a Fox News Murdoch type organization, was picking up, and its celebratory nature. That this judge, even though she's a municipal judge, I mean, you're talking like traffic tickets and stuff, but they were celebrating this as so much so that it makes you believe that they now think, hey, even Mississippi can be settled by Islam and overtaken by Islam. That's how much they were celebrating. But the folks that I talk to that want to minimize this, or that we hear from, don't seem to care. Or think that's significant. I think that's very significant. You don't see that every.
No, and you get lulled into complacency. I mean, they're not. These people are not. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing.
No.
You get lulled into complacency with these very small steps. I mean, you had a situation the other day, I believe, at St. Peter's Basilica, where an Islamic gentleman rolled out a prayer mat and faced Mecca within St. Peter's Basilica to do his daily prayer to Mecca.
Mm.
I mean, would this be allowed? Could we ring the Angelus bells in Mecca? I don't think so. Then you have in Ireland. We started out talk about the Irish American delegate to the Italian American Civil Rights League. There's a beauty contest every year, the famous beauty contest, the Rose of Tralee, and they, just like Miss America, they crown the Rose of Tralee, and different cities around the world are represented, different counties in Ireland. The Dublin Rose is a Somali girl. I'm sure she's a nice person, but why can't the Rose of Tralee be preserved as for Irish and Irish Americans and those of Irish descent? So it's these small things, these small little incidents, these small little anecdotes in history, and then it's like the camel in the nose of the tent, and all of a sudden you've lost everything. So
yeah.
No, municipal judge, you got to be careful. Municipal judge becomes a county judge, and then all of a sudden she's a Supreme Court judge. So
yeah, well, you have a lot of experience in local action and local organizing and all that. Let's just spend the last few minutes talking about that kind of activity and how people that haven't been involved before, because that's what we're asking for. You and I mean, our folks, we're on it, but we need to get people that haven't been involved before involved. What advice do you give folks up there on how to get involved at the local level? Because I think that's where the impact's going to be felt the most.
Well, it's what the president has talked about. It's what Steve Stern has talked about. It's what many people have talked about. You have to get involved at the local level. And what I alluded to earlier, if you are a Republican, get involved in your precinct, in your town, or your county committee. Where I live in New Jersey, it's the county committees that are corrupt, the most corrupt, and have the most influence. We have 21 counties with 21 county chairmen, most of whom are involved for their own personal profit or their own personal objectives to become judges or appointed to some sort of high-paid position. It could vary in other states as to what level the real power is. But here in New Jersey, it's at the county level. You've got to get involved and take your municipal organizations back, your county organizations back, because they often have a huge say in who gets elected to local and state office, and then those folks often move up to federal office. And we're all very familiar with, most of us probably watching this show are very familiar with what's going on in Washington and who the real fighters are out of the 535 congressmen and senators. And there's not enough. There's not enough. We could probably name the real fighters before the end of this show out of those 535 people. And if we don't replace the weaklings with strong America First fighters, people who work their way up from the grassroots, we're not going to achieve what we've been talking about in this show, which is preserving our culture and our country.
Yeah, exactly right. So Mike, let's just close it out with this. What's your message to the Italian Americans out there and the Irish Americans on the way forward on this and the activities, the tempo? Just how aggressive do we need to be?
Oh, we need to be extremely aggressive, and we need to stand together. And if you are an Italian American and you want to get involved with the Italian American Civil Rights League, you can email the group info@iacrl.org. You can follow them on Twitter, the IACRL on Twitter. You can follow the national president, Mike Crispy. You can follow me on Twitter. I think you'll have my handle up soon. Yep. And you can reach out to us. We're happy to help you get organized in your communities. We're happy to help you found a chapter of the Italian American Civil Rights League. If you are Irish and you want to get involved as a part of sort of the Irish auxiliary of the Italian American Civil Rights League, I'm happy to talk to you. And as we debut other ethnicities that are a part of this movement, I know we have a Jewish gentleman, Dr. Soloway, who's going to be announced soon. We have Polish, we have Germans that are going to be coming on board. And we all have to stand together as Americans who put America first and who cherish. We're happy to bring our cultures from Western Europe to be a part of America, but we all stand together here, united as Americans, putting America first to save America and save Western civilization.
Absolutely right, my friend. If you go to Little Italy, go to the Cafe Palermo, owned by a great Italian American. Baby John is what he goes by. I got to have dinner there with Mike and him right after the inauguration last year, and it's phenomenal. So
the cannoli king.
He's the cannoli king. Exactly right. The cannoli king. I'm glad you said that, Mike. And I'll be up in your
faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon House.
All right, guys, welcome to the broadcast. Glad you're with us. We have Aaron Lavarco, our reporter from Israel, back in the studio with us today. And tomorrow, he called up and he said, I am in southern Mississippi, headed toward Pennsylvania. Would you want me to stop in again? I said, yeah, why would we not? We have so much we can talk about. And so we're going to do that today. Let's talk about this new Islamic bloc, kind of an Islamic NATO. And we have Pakistan, who's part of that, threatening Israel. Yeah, and they have nuclear weapons. So this is a real serious situation. President Trump says that the U.S. controls the strait. We'll see about that. And my Jewish friend is sitting here with my brand new hardcover, beautiful copies of the Talmud in front of him. He has the Talmud in front of him. Look at that. And I want to talk to him about the Talmud and a few of those things as well. So we'll get to that in just a moment. We are very excited here because Volume 1, Volume 2 is going great at the printers. Volume 3, I'm almost done. I took the break to read through it and I have more changes in Volume 3 than I did in Volume 1 and 2 because I have to add more stuff. And what chapter do you think it is I have to add more stuff in? What of all the books of Revelation, what chapter, I should say, after all the chapters, which one do you think in that book? Well, it would be Revelation chapter 18, Babylon, of course. So I've got to add a lot more to chapter 18. So more changes in Volume 3 than Volume 1 and 2 because I'm trying to keep Babylon updated to the very end. And it's fascinating. Even today, more information coming out about Babylon. Here's a headline. It's over at worldviewreport.com, your daily aggregated news site. Here it is. Iraq steps up digital transformation of banking and customs. Now, isn't that interesting? Iraq steps up digital transformation of banking and customs. Now, if you're going to have the worldwide New World Order government of Antichrist and Satan in Babylon, in Iraq, and you're going to have a mark of the beast, then you clearly need to have some kind of digital system, right? And here we go. Iraq steps up. Digital transformation. Hello, Bible prophecy. You see what I mean when I say you're going to be reading my Bible commentary set that's for lay people with the Bible in one hand and the international news being observed with print or tablet or smartphone in the other hand, because it's really coming together beautifully. And so we have a lot to talk about in regards to that, don't we? But anyway, if you're still interested, and I hope you are, and we have now done about 400 plus, headed toward 500 sets of the 3-volume set already pre-ordered. And again, that helps us a lot because we then know how many to print because it's going to kick up there with Christmas sales. And we don't want anyone missing out. We don't want to say, you know what, the first press run's gone. It's going to be 5 to 6 weeks before the next. So again, if you're looking for a great gift for yourself or a friend, a loved one, a spouse, particularly at Christmas, why not consider the Worldview, Biblical Worldview commentary on the book of Revelation, 3-volume set, hardcover, beautiful brown, gold embossed on the cover and spine. So it's all the details at worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com, hardcover. Now we have another one coming out soon right after that on biblically refuting the heresy of Calvinism and why I'm a Christian Zionist. Those will also look the exact same because it's all a part of a collection of series of books I'm putting out that will all look the same as part of a comprehensive biblical worldview commentary set. So we're very excited about all that. So again, worldviewstore.com, worldviewstore.com if you want more information on all that. So Wisconsin, did you guys dodge a bullet last night? What do you think? Well, we were on the air last night till pretty late, and our friend and Wisconsinite, Dan, he said that Dan Eastman, he said, I think this will be decided about 2 a.m. And he explained why, coming out of the central counting system there in Milwaukee. He said, I think this will be decided about 2 a.m. Well, we were watching Francesca Hong and David Crowley fight it back and forth within tenth of a percentage point. When we finally signed off a little around 10 o'clock Central last night, 11 Eastern, they were tied. They were tied. And today we see that NBC News reports that they are at 39.8% for David Crowley and Francesca Hong is at 39.3%. So there you go. Now, I don't know. Some people are saying they, on the conservative side, they wish that Mrs. Hong, I don't know if it's Miss, I don't know, that Miss Hong, we'll go with that for now, they're wishing she had won, thinking that would be maybe a more clear race between Mr. Tom Tiffany, who I think is part of the Freedom Caucus there in Congress, that a pretty strong conservative candidate from what I'm hearing, that would be a very big contrast between a constitutional republic, Christian worldview candidate on issues versus a gal that's socialist/communist. Wow, that would have been kind of fun just to watch that go on, wouldn't it? But now it's going to be Mr. Crowley. Mr. Crowley, I don't think is nearly as leftist as Miss Hong was. but we'll see where this all goes. Well, we're going to invite both of them to come on our broadcast. We don't endorse candidates, but we can certainly ask biblical worldview and public policy questions. I don't know whether Mr. Crowley would come on or not. Hopefully he would, but we'll certainly invite him and talk to him because I know there's a lot of folks in our listening audience and around the country that want to pay attention to this because Wisconsin is such a strategic state, a swing state now. Let's see what else. Mike Lindell lost. He joined us last night before it was announced, but he has lost the race. I don't think he's conceding. But I guess what shocked me about that race was he was able to go in with his reporter, we showed it last night, with the Lindell TV cube on the microphone and her interviewing him as they walked in. I thought, well, she'll get stopped. You can't do that inside a polling place. But hey, guess what? We ended up spotting a cameraman with a tripod right behind the desk where you sign in, which in itself is a little interesting because would they not be picking up the data of people on the computer screen? I don't know, I'm just asking questions. I thought that's a little odd. And apparently they didn't even ask for his driver's license. He just said who he was and went and voted. So I don't know. I think we need to be showing our driver's license. I think Mamdani made you show a driver's license to be able to shovel snow in New York City. I think to go to the socialist grocery store he's setting up, you're going to have to show an ID. Why not to vote? Well, I think we all know the reason. There's a segment in our population, and some of them are rhinos in the Republican Party. They want voter fraud. They want it. They need it. That's my opinion. All right, let's see what else is in the works here. Oh, I don't want to give too much, but I'll say you could pray about this. One of the things I was doing while I was not on the air, in addition to working on Revelation Commentary Volume 3 and some of these other books, I was working on something I've been working on now for a couple of years, but really kicked it up into higher negotiations and conversations, negotiating a contract for the rights to a movie rights for a story from an individual, I'm told years ago by the individual himself. John Wayne was interested in his story. And then I heard that there were people tied back to Kevin Costner that were interested in his life story. An amazing God providential testimony. Amazing. And we said, well, you know, we want the gospel in there. I think for some of the conversations he was having with different people over the years and decades, that was an issue. We want the gospel. And I'm like, well, that's what we do. And they knew who we were. We've known who they are for a couple decades. And so we've been working on that, and we're making great progress with that. And we're in negotiations with another individual because we believe that technology is right here, right now, believe it or not, folks, for us to do something that we've wanted to do for so long. And that is to produce wonderful films about real people and their wonderful adventures and stories, but their gospel story, the gospel story in their life, the transformation in their life from being a non-believer to a believer. It's we have already two. One, we're very close to signing a deal with them for those rights. The other one we're working on, and the family is excited as well. Conversations over this last week. And more we've even lined up. And we don't think the issue really with the great technology is not going to be, can you do it anymore? It's going to be who has a wonderful story to tell. And you know what? There's so much garbage that's produced now, right? And yet, you know what we have, folks? We have wonderful testimonies of amazing lives that God has providentially used with exciting stories that Hollywood won't touch. And you know what? I'm thankful they won't, because that leaves it all for groups like us. And so we are excited. So I won't give out too much until the deals are inked, but be praying about that, because the technology, folks, it's already here. It's already here to do this for pennies on the dollar, and it's getting better, and it's getting faster, and it's going to allow us to do some things that we've wanted to do for a long time. But the technology wasn't there. The cost was a humongous and main obstacle, and those barriers are dropping. And it's amazing. It's amazing the stuff we're doing, even with our documentaries. Speaking of which, Brainwashed America Part 4. will be out here in the next few weeks. Part 3 is already in the vault. Part 4 will be out. And as you know, we have taken our 36 years of our library and transcribed everything we've ever done, cataloged it, and tagged it. And yesterday, Jeb, who does our post-editing of my documentaries, I write them myself. I narrate them, as you guys know. I tell them what B-roll I want. I tell them what clips I want. And I tell them a lot of clips. I want this clip of me interviewing Larry Grothwald about the Weather Underground and how they wanted to, they're going to take over and take 100 million Americans into the deserts of the Southwest and do re-education. 25 million of them couldn't be re-educated, so we'll have to eliminate them. So what do we do with all the bodies? You guys remember me interviewing Larry Grothwald about that in 2009? I played a clip of that last night because that's really the history of the Democrat Socialists of America tied back to the Weather Underground. So you're like, well, what will these people do if they get elected? Oh, they may not need to do things like that. They now have the ability to, as we move forward, to just turn your digits off to make you conform. They have the ability with vaccines and all kinds of healthcare systems to just basically have us euthanized. I mean, who knows what they would do with the technology available today? But we played that clip last night. And we have so many clips like that the Lord's blessed us with interviews. And I'm telling my guys in the notes of the documentary, I want this clip here and this clip here to make the point of the remaining points, the 12 steps of brainwashing. My guy that does the post-editing called yesterday. He said, Mr. B, I got to tell you, this is much, much easier and better, part 4 than part 3. He said, part 3 is great, don't get me wrong. But part 4, he said, this is becoming really easy. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm using the new Worldviewpedia, and I'm telling it what to find, and it digs through the 36-year library and brings it right to me. Whereas I used to have to ask Logan and other people to help me find and dig through this 36-year library to find what I wanted. And I said, well, praise the Lord. And I said, that's why we created it. And we really created it for ourselves, and then we make it available to other people. And I'm going to do that in just 1 minute. I'm going to use it because France, folks, France is back in the news with their mosques. And they've been in the news before. And you're going to see and hear why. And Aaron Lavarco is here to talk about all of it right after this. Don't go away.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate undersink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity. All from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Glad you're with us. Aaron was asking me questions. He's like, wait a minute, how are you going to do all this? And I was telling him what AI allows us to do now. I said, we can take an individual and with our contracts, negotiating with the family, of course, they're eager because they want this to be done right. We can take an individual's pictures and then make that person look identical with AI and sound the same way. And that person who's telling their life story and testimony is telling it with their own voice. Not to mention, we have a lot of recordings of some of these people, so they can tell their own story. And Aaron was like, this is amazing. You can use technology for good or evil. You know that, right?
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah, he was pretty intrigued by that during the break. All right, he joins us now. Aaron, welcome back. Thanks for being with us.
Always good to be with you, Brandon. Thanks.
All right, let's go to this issue with France. This I found very fascinating. French government shuts down Paris area mosque for supporting terrorism, legitimizing jihad. That's the headline over at Jihad Watch. Robert Spencer, be praying for him. He's supposed to be with us today, but he's not feeling well. He was going to be with us for the first 15 minutes or so, but we've rescheduled him for Friday. But please be praying for Robert Spencer, if you would, please. All right. Now here, this is interesting. French government shuts down Paris area mosques for supporting terrorism, legitimizing jihad. Why is that not going on in America, Aaron? We have these imams all over America talking horrifically about overthrowing our government, overthrowing our nation, about the Jews, the Christians. I mean, of all, you know, you don't really think French government when you think about somebody shutting down mosques. You don't immediately go to the French government. You think those guys sometimes are a little weaker in the knees, but you know,
I'm surprised.
Has America become weaker than France? If that's the case, we're toast. We're done.
You are. Well, you know, I'm thinking of October the 7th. We didn't take these people seriously, and we paid big time, and we're still paying for it years on, and the Western world is still paying for not taking Ayatollah Khomeini in 1978 seriously when he rose up with the Islamic Revolution and basically said, we're going to export jihad, we're going to export Islam, radical Islam, and no one took him seriously. And here we are 47 years later, and it's on our doorstep. So what do you do? Is it too late? And I am surprised that the French government is actually doing that, because, you know, I don't know what the percentage is now, but it's very high with radical Islam in France. So yeah, wake up, and yeah, may the French government do more of this, because there's a lot more than this just one mosque in France, Brandon. Mm-hmm. You know, the radical Islam is rampant in France.
Well, I went to Worldview Tube, and if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, it is right at the bottom right-hand corner, a little blue tab that's for Worldviewpedia, your biblical worldview research assistant. So it helps me find facts I know we've covered before. And so I just typed in, France shuts down mosques in Paris over finding military-grade weapons, because I remember they'd done that several years ago. And sure enough, what pops up? Here it says, this is indeed a serious, well-documented national security concern that has been covered extensively on Worldview Tube. Here's what the available content reveals. According to multiple Worldview Tube video sources, after the Paris terrorist attacks, French authorities moved to shut down between 100 and 160 mosques after conducting raids that uncovered alarming findings, including 334 weapons discovered in a single mosque raid just 18 miles east of Paris, large quantities of 7.62 millimeter Kalashnikov ammunition, ISA propaganda videos, records of chants glorifying jihad martyrs linked to Jihad al-Nusra, the Syrian branch of Al-Qaeda. These materials were found among youth teaching materials in a connected Islamic school, a madrasa, and a Worldview Tube video featuring exclusive interview with Chris Gobbets, who went undercover infiltrating CARE. The question was raised whether American mosques may similarly be functioning as armories and training centers, not merely houses of worship. And you can view that interview here, and it provides a link. A former chief of police also warned about this issue, provides a link to that interview as well. So our Worldviewpedia was able to bring out stuff. And by the way, we were reporting this back in 2016, and now France finds more and shuts down more mosques.
Good. Brennan, in case the public don't know, a lot of Muslims, when they migrate, they are peaceful people. But I'll tell you when it changes is when a mosque is built. Why? Because the people that fund the mosques are usually Qatar or Saudi Arabia. And then guess what they do once the mosque is built? They send their teachers, their imams, their sheikhs. They send them over to teach in the mosques. So if, you know, for example, here in Memphis, Colleyville, Memphis, Tennessee, you've got a nice mosque and a nice peaceful Muslim community. What happens next? These Saudis and the Qataris or whoever's funding the mosque, they send these teachers over. And so these moderate, nice Muslim people, they go to the mosque on Friday afternoons as a social gathering. And then all of a sudden, this teacher that's been sent, this emissary, he starts teaching radical ideology. So the people, after an hour or two of getting indoctrinated with that, they go out, and all of a sudden, their worldview changes. Yep. And the mosques are the key. So to see this happening, that they're closing down mosques, finding recordings, this is fantastic to hear that the French government are finally doing something And may it happen more.
And may it happen in America.
And may it happen in America.
How about in Israel? Do you guys take this seriously? Are you guys shutting down mosques in Israel?
No, we're not. But we are keeping an eye on the people that come out of the mosques every Friday afternoon on the Temple Mount. You hear the loudspeakers blaring, spewing out hatred. We can hear it. It's not hidden.
Right.
And so our security forces are listening and watching. And of course, we have counterintelligence and we have cyber intelligence where our undercovers, they're following all the leaders through cyber intelligence. So we've got our eye on them.
Let's go to the West Bank. That's the derogatory name for Judea and Samaria before we get to the new Islamic NATO that seems to be rising. We are not going anywhere. Dannon defends Israeli West Bank settlements at UN. Israeli envoy rejects claims that the settlements obstruct peace and accuses the Security Council of applying a double standard to Israeli and Palestinian violence. That's been in the news the last couple of days because some folks were taking action again in what is derogatorily called the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, to defend themselves, protect themselves. But it's being spun like these are out of control Jews that are being racist toward the Palestinians and the Arabs.
They've got nothing to do, so they wake up in the morning and they go looking for Palestinians to kill. What the media is doing, Brandon, is they're only looking at the settlers' responses, and they're taking that out of context. If you put it in context, they are being attacked and their lives are at risk, and our military and our police are being so spread because we're at a war on so many different fronts that there's no one there to protect them 24/7. So they have to protect themselves. And that's what they are doing. Their lives are in danger. Every time they go out to drive anywhere, whether it be Samaria, whether it be Ariel, whether it be Ely, whether it be Bethel, their lives are at risk. I drive through there regularly, Brandon. And some of my friends and family, they're always concerned when I drive through. A lot of the cars that drive through have bulletproof windows. They're all loaded. You're taking your life at risk. 3 times, I've been twice on buses with tourists, and once I was by myself. I've been in cars and buses that have been stoned. Windscreens have been absolutely smashed by people with little stones that can maim and kill people. So it's a little bit of Russian roulette. You don't know whether you're going to come back alive.
Let's go to this headline. Pakistan's defense minister threatens, quote, illegitimate, end quote, Israel after inking pact with Saudis and Turkey. Now, this is very troubling because we also have this same group working together with what they're calling the emergence of a new Islamic military bloc. The nightmare scenario is not necessarily that Mecca agreement immediately becomes an Islamic NATO. The nightmare is that it gradually becomes one. So we got that going on, and we'll get to another one, but here it is. Let's see this one here. Pakistan's defense minister. Okay, let's start with that because now Pakistan is working with Turkey and with, who did I say, Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
To create this growing Islamic bloc.
Brandon, what are we going to do? One day, Turkey wakes up and they decide...
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan, those 3, sorry.
Right. What are we going to do? Because remember, Turkey are part of NATO, number one.
Yes.
And number 2, this tri-pact, part of the agreement is that if one of them gets attacked, it's as if all 3 are getting attacked, which is the same agreement with NATO. So what happens if Turkey decides to pick a fight with Greece or Malta or Israel? What happens if they decide to pick a fight with us and we respond and retaliate back? Then, according to this pact, Pakistan, who are nuclear, and Saudi Arabia, they have to defend and fight along with Turkey. This is extremely serious.
And Pakistan has nuclear weapons.
Absolutely. They're packed with
I think they got 180 of them.
Packed with them. And so if Turkey picks a fight with anyone, now they've got a big brother to protect them.
Now they've got Pakistan with 180 nuclear weapons.
So why do we worry now if Iran get a nuclear bomb?
And we, by the way, have in Turkey, we have U.S. The U.S. has U.S. nuclear bombs under NATO agreements stationed in Turkey.
Yeah, this is.
So do we have to worry about them overrunning and getting a hold of those?
I don't know where this is heading. I really don't know. This is a very dangerous.
And what I think you're referring to is like Article 5 of NATO, that if one of the NATO partners is attacked, all the nations come to their defense.
Exactly.
So if Israel has to attack Turkey in self-defense, is America and the rest of the nations now going to be against Israel?
These are big questions.
And the question is important because all the nations of the world turn against Israel. Is it the next president that says, no, I don't like Israel anyway? Is that what the next president's going to be? Who says, so we're standing with our ally Turkey, and now you got the United States coming against Israel?
So not only that pact, which Turkey is a part of, but now this new pact with Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. So on two fronts, Turkey must be sitting with their feet up on their desk, laughing. And where everyone's, especially in Israel, everyone in the government and in the military are waiting and watching Turkey's every move. And it's very concerning. Now, militarily by themselves, they are probably the most powerful army in the Middle East, apart from Israel. But if it was a one-on-one issue, it wouldn't be a problem. But now it's not a one-on-one issue. Now they've got big brothers and a nuclear big brother. This is very concerning.
The article at Israel National News says on August 7th, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan signed what has been called the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement, pledging that an armed attack against one member will be treated as an attack against all three.
Now, why do they include the word Mecca? Because they want it to be religious. They're candy coating it with religion.
They're building their caliphate.
They are.
And of course, the rebuilding of the Ottoman Empire that Erdogan wants.
Yes, totally.
All right, let's come back from the break, get into this a little bit more, as well as talk about some of the other issues, including, this is a big one, folks, Iran to become member of BRICS banking, increasing economic cooperation and trade. Remember, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, others, and Iran joining in. We'll be right back.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio website, worldviewradio.com. Aaron LaVarco, our reporter on the ground in Israel, who's back in studio. And we have a big announcement. I think I mentioned the other day, we're starting very soon, maybe as soon as before the week is over, but certainly by the next week, we are starting multiple channels. We'll have about 23 different channels running for our premium members. And one of those is going to be the Israel channel. And it'll be 24/7 because we're cranking out enough content on Israel. And we have already produced enough tours that we have paid Aaron to go and produce of tours of Israel, which he's going to go back and keep doing more aggressively, even as we give him more equipment to go back and do more, that we have enough basically to run a 24/7 Israel channel. And Aaron will be starting, we pray, by the time he gets back, a daily 30-minute report from Israel. So we're launching the Israel channel as part of our ministry. So we're excited about that because, well, you know, the Lord opens doors, and poor Aaron, he's having a hard time making a living being a tour guide with all that's going on. I don't think people are just rushing to go get a tour in Israel and then spend their time getting awakened through the night to run to a bomb shelter, right? So the Lord seems to be leading him more and more to work with us more and more full time. And of course, we appreciate your support as we do that through our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. But we got some great things coming and look forward to bringing that to you, including tonight on Brandon House Live. Aaron, I have sent over, before we get back to BRICS and Iran and whatnot, I sent you over a slew of questions the other day and said, let's talk about this. What are we going to talk about tonight on Brandon House Live, Aaron?
Well, we're going to talk on an exciting period of history, the pre-birth of the modern state of Israel. We're going to talk about what were some of the key events that led up to the formation, what was happening politically, socially, culturally, economically in the land at the time, who were some of the powers that were in the land. Then, of course, the beginning of the Jewish return back to the land, the key people that were part of it, some of the opposition against it. And then, of course, ultimately, the declaration of the state of Israel, the democratic Jewish state of Israel, and, of course, some of the wars and trials and tribulations. And, you know, I think of when the Lord talked about the last days, he gave an analogy of a woman giving birth. And I liken the period that we're going to be talking about as like the pre-birth, and then the pains, and then the actual birth, and
the birth of a new state.
Of a new state.
And that's really Ezekiel 37, the dry bones prophecy that there'd be a politically revived nation of Israel. The nation never existed. God refers to the nation of Israel, even in dispersion, as the nation, right?
Yes.
My people, the nation,
yes.
Israel. And then, but they have to politically be formed again so they can make treaties, which we know they'll do according to the Bible. They'll make one with Antichrist. So there's the political restoration and revival. Yes. Then the spiritual revival. And of course, this is what, you know, it's amazing, Aaron, the number of Jew haters that listen to this broadcast. I don't know why they bother. Apparently, they are so obsessed with hating on the Jews. They like to listen to this broadcast so they can hear what's going on and just fill up with more hate. But you'd be shocked at the volume of emails we get from the Jew haters who will openly tell you that they can't stand the Zionists, that we're of the devil and the devil's using us and God's going to judge us. That's interesting because our ministry is just exploding in growth and opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't even go into the blessing we received today, but we got a major blessing that came from one of the companies we work with today. And every time we turn around, yeah, we're running into trial and tribulation, but we also turn around and we run into blessings that keep us encouraged and going. I mean, wow, if this is what God's curses look like, I mean, we have so many great things happening and going and growing and opportunities and numbers are skyrocketing and going up. Others, you know, aren't having this and some of them are collapsing. And I think, what is the common denominator with those that are struggling and collapsing? They don't proclaim the Lord and they hate the Jews and the Zionists and, you know, Genesis 12:3. But you'd be shocked at the number of Jew-hating, Zionist-hating people that listen to this broadcast and then want to send over their hate-filled, Bible-twisted things while they claim that we are going to be judged of God. We better hurry up and repent. I mean, it's amazing.
It is amazing, Brennan. And all you need to do is read the story of Balak, who wanted to curse Israel. And he paid Balaam to go out and curse. And every time Balaam went out to curse, he got stopped. And even the donkey that he was riding on jammed his leg up on the wall 3 times. And finally, the donkey spoke and said, basically, you know, the Lord said, how can you curse who God has blessed? And that's the message. You know, and it's almost like the New Testament story of Gamaliel when he said, look, if you fight this, you know, you could be fighting against God. So don't fight it. And if it isn't of God, it'll just peter out. It'll just die. And so I would warn people, be careful that you're not fighting against God and that you're not rubbing your leg up against the wall And because what God has blessed, no man they can try and curse, but it will turn against them.
Indeed. Here we go. Iran to become member of BRICS Bank. This is pretty amazing. Again, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, all these other nations that have joined. And now here comes Iran, which again is not shocking when you realize that China and Russia are backing Iran and helping them in this war. And that this is as much an economic war as it is anything, and a war for energy and a war for oil by which to then tokenize. And I hope many of you in this audience are listening to me, because that's what so much of this is about, folks. It's about corporate interests. Remember the general who wrote his book, what was the name of the general again? He wrote a book, The War is a Racket. It'll come to me. I've said his name many times over the years. It'll come to me again. But he wrote the book, War's a Racket, and he said almost all these wars are fought for corporations. Well, now they're being fought for governments and corporations that are in corporate fascist relationships. And these governments are working with the big tech companies and stable coins and digital coins, and they need to back their currency with something. So they're buying up their central banks volumes of gold, but they're also looking up for land and minerals and oil and natural gas to use all of it to back their currencies. And you know China is in trouble. Russia's got their own issues. America's got our issues. Iran has their issues. But now look at them working so closely with Iran. And this is also not just to be seen as independently as energy, but energy tied to the issue and the commodity of oil for backing currencies. So no wonder the BRICS banking system would be going after them. Aaron?
Brennan, is the part of the BRICS goal is to compete against the American dollar?
Yeah, to be done with the dollar as the world reserve currency.
Absolutely. So no wonder Iran are on board there, number one. Number two, Iran is scrambling. Their economy with these restrictions, because Donald Trump has said a lot recently that he's going to try and squeeze them economically. And every day they are losing, I don't know if it's probably in the billions every single day that oil is not moving. So they're being squeezed, they're scrambling, they're turning to these other nations who are trying to compete against the American dollar and probably try to pull down the American dollar. So yeah, there are confederations, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Islamic world once the dust settles with Iran, because, Iran were the big kind of leader of the dog pack of the Shiite world. And now that they're getting pummeled, I'm expecting Turkey to step up. And of course, Turkey economically, they're struggling as well as Syria. So, Netanyahu said on October the 8th, he said, not October 7th, October the 8th, he said, the Middle East will be a different Middle East. It will change. He was right. Syria has changed. By the way, did you hear that Assad, the leader, who is in exile in England, he and his brother just today... Sorry?
Got the death sentence.
They just got the death sentence, both of them. Mm-hmm. Yes, so, yeah.
So we're talking about Iran. We're talking about Babylon, or the area that was Babylon. Iraq sets up digital transformation of banking and customs, right? So that obviously has to happen if you're going to have a world government that's using Mark of the Beast and digital identity. They need to come up to speed with all of their infrastructure for that. And they're doing it. Interesting. Well, again, 10 years ago, my book, The Coming Religious Reich, we said, watch for that. And people are like, no, New York's Babylon. No, I'm sorry. And now look, they're like, but nothing's happening over there. I know, give it time. And now look, almost every week we have another news story. Well, I have a story, listening friends, I think fits with that. And it comes from Decision Magazine. And here is the headline. Witchcraft courses populate across U.S. campuses. At ASU, they outnumbered Christianity 8-1. This fall, Arizona State University is offering 8 courses with words like witchcraft, magic, or the occult in the title. Meanwhile, one course will cover the bedrock faith of Western civilization. One. So witchcraft is outnumbering Christianity 8-1 on college campus. Well, if it's not Islam and Marxism, now it's witchcraft. Now that fits with Babylon and our news on Iraq today. Because what does Revelation chapter 18 say Babylon has become? It has become a dwelling place for demons. It is the world center of Antichrist and Satan. And remember, they're worshiping the beast, Antichrist, and the text says, and they worship the dragon. And the text tells you the dragon is Satan. Why?